Ha! Welcome to the latest edition of Stephen A's World, LA Style. You can find me right here talking sports and pop culture 4 days a week exclusively on ESPN+. Did y'all see what the Bucks did to the Hawks in Game 5? I'll tell you why. If they play like that, they're going to bring a championship to Milwaukee. Plus, Scottie Pippen sure had a lot to say about Phil Jackson and Michael Jordan. I'm here to tell you why Pippen should be ashamed of himself after those comments. And we're joined by a true Renaissance man, actor, rapper, singer, songwriter, screenwriter, and film producer. I cut it up with the one and only Daveed Diggs of Hamilton fame. Stephen A's World in the house. Let's get it.
No Trae Young for the Hawks, no Giannis for the Bucks.
It's East Coast finals. There's no excuses. It doesn't matter whoever's playing, who's not playing. You got to fight through and win.
Caught and flushed by Brook Lopez. They have no answer for Lopez.
Off to Bobby Portis, slam dunk.
Portis has come up big. The fans love him here.
Middleton spins, gets deep. What a move.
I thought we just did a great job of playing together. And when everyone's scoring, everyone's doing their thing, that's tough for the defense.
If the Milwaukee Bucks, who showed up last night, show up for the rest of this postseason, that is your champion. Not just Eastern Conference Finals champion. I'm talking about champions of the whole damn thing. They're winning the chip, y'all. You heard me. The Bucks team we saw last night, even if it only has the Greek Freak playing at 60 or 70% in the NBA Finals, that team can knock off the Phoenix Suns in the NBA Finals. Milwaukee dominated Game 5 from the tip, imposed their will. The Bucks put up 44 points in the first half last night, just in the paint alone. 65 points in the first half total, but 44 in the paint alone. Brook Lopez stepped up big time. Season high 33.7 rebounds, 4 blocks. Milwaukee got a huge game from Drew Holiday, too, running the show with 25 points, 13 assists. Holiday, Lopez, Chris Middleton, and Bobby Portis gave the Bucks 4 starters who put up at least 22 points last night. That's right, Bobby Portis. Here's the thing with Giannis being out. It forces other players, like Bobby Portis, like Brook Lopez, to actually step up, to contribute, to take more ownership of a championship push. And then you add the Greek Freak back into that mix, even a diminished Giannis, that Bucks team is a problem. I know all the talk about this year's NBA champion being diminished and asterisk because of all the injuries to star players, but the Bucks team we saw last night, that team has the ingredients to beat anybody. Now they just have to do it.
Have you talked to Phil about this? Because by saying a racial move, then you're calling Phil a racist.
I don't got a problem with that.
Do you think Phil was or is?
Oh, yeah.
I've got to be honest. The more I hear from this Scottie Pippen Bourbon promotional tour, the less I like it. I backed up Scottie weeks ago when he made his point to GQ about the differences in KD and LeBron's style of play. Backed him up right here on Stephen A's World, in fact. But this, saying Phil Jackson is a racist, doubling down on it, Scottie Pippen should be ashamed of himself. Let's be clear about something. That word has never been uttered about Phil Jackson before, not in his more than 40 years around the game as a player, a coach, or an executive. Not by Michael Jordan, not by Dennis Rodman, not by Shaq, not even by Kobe Bryant, who had a very, very complicated relationship with that man, Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson, if nothing else, was respected. I don't know. Maybe Scottie is sampling too much of his own product before these interviews. I don't know. But what he's saying is utterly ridiculous. And it doesn't just make him look foolish. It hurts all of us. Because when you throw accusations of racism around without any justification, without any receipts, and it gives oxygen and space to actual racists, because people start to ignore incidents of actual racism. The fake blends in with the real until it all gets ignored. All this over a shot at the end of a game 27 years ago? All this because Scottie Pippen, for all his success, still clearly feels envious of Michael Jordan's status because he called Michael Jordan selfish. Remember that too, right? I'm going to say it again. Scottie Pippen should be ashamed of himself. I'll tell you what, this bourbon he's selling better be damn good if we have to put up with all of this nonsense. 27 years later, here you show up with a bad hairdo, by the way, going off, calling people racist. 27 years later? Yesterday, July 1st, NCAA athletes were allowed to begin capitalizing on their names, images, and likenesses, opening up an approved income stream to college athletes for the very first time. The NCAA's new policy went into effect yesterday when the clock struck midnight, but the clock may have already struck midnight on the NCAA. These changes may be too little, too late. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all for college athletes being able to make themselves money of their own in a multi-billion-dollar industry. But this should have happened years ago. Years ago. Back when Chris Webber played, when Reggie Bush played. We need to give them back their trophies and banners immediately, by the way, because the NCAA has operated as a for-profit hypocrisy machine for decades, with thousands and thousands of athletes, many from impoverished backgrounds, prohibited from making money for themselves and their families due to archaic conceptions of what, quote unquote, amateur athletics should be about. So this new policy is progress, but there's still a long way to go. In the upcoming NBA draft, 2 G League Ignite players will likely be selected in the first 10 picks alone. Jalen Green and Jonathan Kuminga. Those are players who felt it best to bypass the NCAA entirely to maximize their potential, and it clearly worked for them. This new NCAA policy better only be the start, not the end of the changes, or a lot more players will follow the paths of Green and Kuminga. The world is changing. It's been changing. And the NCAA has a long, long way to go to catch up. Damn, they do. I recently caught up with our next guest, Tony and Grammy Award-winning actor, rapper, and producer, Daveed Diggs. He first became a household name for his starring roles in Hamilton and is now an executive producer on Blind Spotting, streaming now on Stars.
Look, I called my mom. She said you and Sean can move over there with her and Trish.
I know something I'm not allowed to feel. Welcome to the ordeal.
Let's turn up on this down.
Let's turn up on this down.
The one and only Daveed Diggs. Welcome to Stephen A's World, big time. How are you, man? How's everything?
Yeah, I'm great, man. Thank you so much for having me on. This is real cool.
The honor is all mine, my man. New series, Blind Spotting, is a sequel to your 2018 film of the same name. Why did you want to make this spinoff?
Yeah, in the process of making the film, there's a character, Ashley, played by the incredible actress Jasmine Cephas Jones. And all throughout our process of making it, we really just wanted more of her. And there wasn't really time in the film because the film was really the big trick we were trying to do with the film was get audiences to sympathize with a convicted felon who at the end of the movie is waving a gun in a police officer's face. So we really had to be inside that character's head for the whole movie.
What inspired you to do this? I mean, a lot of people may not know your background. You're from the Bay Area, you're from Oakland, California, and we all know, we'll get into it a little bit in terms of some of the things that city has struggled with and what have you. But I want to know specifically if there's something that stands out in your mind as to what inspired you to do this project.
Yeah, well, I think, myself and my co-creator, Rafael Casal, are just, we are interested in telling stories about the Bay because it is a place that influences everything about the way I make art. And I like showing it off when I'm given the opportunity. And so I like to tell stories that hinge on the sort of unique beautiful, astute, interesting culture that exists there. Because I don't think there's anywhere else like it. And so anytime I'm given the opportunity, I try to shine a spotlight on my hometown.
David, let me be on the record with you before we even move on with this interview and tell you what I think about Oakland. As a black man, as a brother, I love Oakland. I love the knowledge about that's where the Black Panther Party originated. I love the fact that the political stratosphere that exists there. I love that. Obviously, great athletes, the great Gary Payton, Damian Lillard, all of these brothers come from Oakland, California. I love it. But it brings me to my next question because again. Because of the imagery or the perception of what Oakland is compared to how people should view it. How much of a role do you believe that has played in the Golden State Warriors, for example, now playing in San Francisco? And I'd like to know how you feel about that because I got to tell you, I mean, the Oracle is one of my favorite places to go. I miss not being there. What are your thoughts?
Bro, I totally agree with you. It hurt real bad when we found out the Warriors were moving to San Francisco, in a large part because for us in the Bay, actually, culturally, San Francisco had been really robbed of its culture a long time ago. And so, again, this sort of speaks to the kind of financial models in business world being just behind it, like not catching up to where it should be. Because really, like, Oakland was kind of in the middle and is in the middle of a bit of a cultural renaissance in terms of how it's being viewed. We're starting to see a lot more attention turned to the East Bay than there used to be. And the Warriors were uniquely situated and also part of that being right in the heart of East Oakland, where they had always been. And then to remove them from that actually felt disrespectful to them, to me. Like if you're from the Bay and you grew up in Oakland and you're gonna take that and move it to San Francisco, that feels disrespectful to the Warriors to me. You know what I'm saying? Like Oracle was such a special place that I think it was a misstep. I haven't been to the new stadium yet, so it's hard for me to say.
Well, I asked you that question, David, because, again, when I think about folks from Oakland, I think about incredible intestinal resolve. I obviously think people overcome trials and tribulations. And, I think that the city of Oakland represents us in a phenomenal fashion in terms of the things that they're able to overcome time after time after time again. And then when I think about them being in San Francisco, I hear noise like, well, you know what? Folks will just come over to San Francisco and watch this team. There won't be a dissipation in the level of support. It won't be that much different. I don't see it that way. And then you hear about the Oakland Athletics. They may leave. And obviously the Oakland Raiders are gone now. They're in Vegas. So how are you feeling right now as an Oakland native from a sports perspective about what has happened in the city and whether or not the city will be able to recover from it?
Athletics is one of those things, right? Sports teams move. And it's weird because when you're there, it feels like so much a part of you. And then all of a sudden it could just be gone. There's opportunities to start things from the ground up in Oakland, to have a team's birthplace be Oakland. Like, I would love to see a WNBA team move into the Oracle, if I'm being perfectly honest. Like, and I would start looking at those. I would start taking advantage of those. The one thing about the town is we will ride so hard for you if you are ours. You know what I'm saying? We're feeling that love with the Blind Spotting show right now. Like the Bay is really riding for it and really helping us promote that. And we told the network that when we started writing the show. We were like, look, if you can get the town behind this, they will be the loudest mouthpiece for the show. And it's proving to be true already. And so I think that's true of anything that you bring there.
I want to transition back to you because you've got a role in an upcoming film with Disney, The Little Mermaid, where you played this character, Sebastian. What can you tell us about what that role will be like for you?
Well, I'm already done with my part on that. But, Sebastian's is one of the greatest characters in Disney history, if you ask me. I still remember going to see the original Little Mermaid and being lined up on the street at the Grand Lake Theater in Oakland the day it came out, going to see it with my dad. I was 9 years old. You know what I'm saying? And so getting the chance to play that character is really, really special for me. And one that stressed me out a little bit. It's a huge responsibility, singing a song like Under the Sea, which is like an undisputed Disney classic, like to have to sort of step up to that challenge and be a new version of that. It was a really interesting one. But we'll see. I can't wait for people to watch it. I think it's a beautiful piece piece of filmmaking.
Listen, before I let you get on out of here, I'd be remiss in bringing this up because I think that you've been doing fantastic work and you're one of the people that definitely need to be celebrated. You're on TNT Snowpiercer. I mean, you're doing Blind Spotting. I've seen you on Blackish before. You've got this. I mean, all of this stuff that you're doing right now. How are you feeling about where you are in your career at this particular moment in time, and what kind of impact are you aiming to have moving forward? Because clearly you're on a mission to make a difference in a lot of different ways.
Well, man, you know this because you've been in this game for so long. Like Hollywood and these various industries that present television and film, like once the doors start opening for you, you have a real opportunity to start walking other people through those doors. I'm at a point right now in my life where almost anybody will take a meeting with me. My favorite thing to do is to go into a meeting and be like, hey, I know you like what I'm doing, but look at this cat over here who is also doing really interesting things. You don't know them, right? Because I can only do so much on my own, and I'm extended. I'm doing as much as I possibly can. But there are a lot of people, a lot of really incredible creators out there who just they haven't had the Hamilton, right? Like what that was for me. They haven't had that platform yet. So my favorite thing about the position I'm in right now is the opportunity to turn the spotlight around on some other really deserving, hardworking artists and try to get their feet in the door to kind of keep this new style of art making. A lot of it homegrown in the Bay in terms of the stuff that I'm trying to champion really in rotation and on our screen.
Right. Well, that's a beautiful thing, my man. You can watch episodes of Blind Spotting Sundays on Stars and catch Daveed Diggs on TNT's Snowpiercer as well. Proud of you, my man. Keep up the great work. We'll keep watching, keep supporting you in any way that we possibly can. Keep up the great work, my man.
Thank you so much.